Welcome back to ZGEN.Global podcast, where we cover honest and unfiltered conversation about internationalization of Indian higher education system. My name is Sumit Rai. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ZGEN.Global. And today we have with us an esteemed guest from international higher education arena, Dr. Nirupama, a distinguished personality with over 22 years of experience in international higher education, bridging gaps between universities and global opportunities, and holding a PhD from Kalinga University. Welcome to the show, ma'am. It's an honor to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Sumit. It's been an honor.
So my first question to you, ma'am, is what is the true meaning of internationalization for you in terms of Indian higher education? Don't give me any policy answers, but try to tell me how you have lived this internationalization so far, the last 22 years.
Right. Well, let me start by saying, like you introduced, that I've been in this field of internationalization for quite some time, and I have been associated with different universities. Well, coming to internationalization point of view, every university has a strategic direction towards internationalization. And when they have it, they can actually implement that internationalization at a level that impacts lives. Mm-hmm. So, for me, internationalization is about impacting the lives of people associated with the higher education sector. It could be faculty members, it could be students, and it can be through different modalities. Right? We'll come to the modalities in a bit. But for me, how impactful internationalization is for the students, how many lives has it transformed? That's most important for me.
No, that is true, because in my own experience around talking to various stakeholders regarding internationalization, this has always been a question how it is going to impact student life. That's the whole objective, and you touched it very rightly, that this is the most meaningful outcome of any internationalization which universities take forward. Coming to this, so staying on this similar topic about internationalization, there's a lot which is being going on currently in India with respect to the NEP policy, which the government has mandated, with regards to training programs, with regards to global immersive program, having international students coming to India on various campuses. How are you seeing this getting actually materialized? So in terms of practicality, or is it still on paper?
Yes, NEP has played a very important role in giving a direction for the universities and higher education institutes in India towards internationalization. Having said that, which means that it has given the freedom to the universities to accept internationalization and be open about it, have discussions around it, and also have plans to execute it, right? So that's what NEP has done. It has in a broad way given a framework for internationalization on campuses. Right. Well, in past, there was internationalization happening in bits and pieces everywhere around India. The elite institutions always had a say about it. They had MOUs or agreements and collaborations with foreign universities. And a lot of engagement was happening even then. Mm-hmm. But internationalization as a concept had not percolated down to all universities, all tiers of universities. Mm-hmm. Now with NEP, I think that has been made possible.
Okay.
So every university in India now can have discussions around internationalization, which is one of the best things that has happened.
Right.
And it now does not remain the sole property, if I may use that word, of some of the big universities. Every university can now have some bit, in a very small way, have internationalization. And that's the beauty of NEP. That's what it has done. So it's been very supportive of internationalization. What in particular? Yes, it is the transnational education that we are looking at. And again, like I said, various modalities of practicing internationalization on campus is possible now with NEP giving that permission to open doors to the world.
Right.
We are not closed door anymore. We have open doors to internationalization.
Right. Right. So we have been into this internationalization and higher education system for quite some time. And we have experienced this, what you rightly said, in terms of which was not open earlier, support of NEP is making it possible.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you a specific question around NEP once again. Because NEP is a policy made by a central government and it goes into a federal system. I, with my interaction with a lot of universities in the recent past, have still realized that a lot of these universities are still waiting at the sideline to see how others are performing with respect to adopting the NEP and its fine prints. So apart from the policy framework which NEP provides, what is that one factor which is leading all these Indian universities now to go more and more into internationalization? If you may just give me that specific point.
Okay. So, like I said, NEP has opened doors to all, but in its framework, it has also mentioned certain quality parameters.
Mm-hmm.
When I say that, it talks about the universities on the other side, with whom are you partnering. At the same time, it also makes the universities look inward. What is their ranking at the moment at India level? How prepared are they for internationalization? How flexible is their curriculum in order to accept credits? So NEP does it two ways. One, which sets those parameters for you to collaborate with universities abroad. Likewise, it also makes the universities look inward into their own systems. Are you at all ready for this? I mean, you can claim big things in the world, right? But still, if you are not prepared at home, then what is it that you're going to offer?
Right.
So NEP has done that.
Okay.
You know? So I wouldn't go into the detailed framework of it. Like, say, for example, you should be able to partner with a university that is ranked way within 1,000 QS list.
Right.
So why QS list? Because we are still, following, although it's a very, you can
colonial. I can understand that.
So
So
we
it's still okay.
Still have to follow those QS rankings.
Yes.
But let me also point at this time that there are many universities that don't fall under any QS ranking, but they're still the most beautiful universities, quality rich, academically enriched universities. So my point again is, yes, you need to follow the framework and the policy frameworks that NEP has laid down. Now, once we start following the framework, probably then you understand, there is something more beyond the framework that can be done.
Right.
And then you can propose that to the regulatory bodies to probably modify. But if you do not do, or if there is no start at all, if you never make a start in internationalization at all, and then you always become the sideliners.
Yeah.
And you always wait and watch what others will be doing. Let them fail and then we make the measures. We'll take those preventive measures to be successful. I think if everybody does that, there's no start at all.
Correct.
So there's no risk. There's absolutely no risk in it. Well, as far as funding is concerned, yes, there may be a little bit of funding that may be required, especially to set up an international office. So that's about it.
Right.
And that manpower from the international office is an essential investment in order to make your international strategy be implementable or executable.
Right.
So I think that's a fair ask.
Right. So coming to a little more, from the side of the university, what does it mean for Indian universities to go international? So one is, of course, the policy side, which we talk about, but in literal terms, how are Indian universities responding to internationality or the NEP policy? To be more specific, what I'm looking to ask is, do they really have a clear intent for the outcome of internationalization, or is it, in our terms, we talk about like it's a photo ops. You just do a photo ops, and that's about it. So what is your learning around this? As you've been into this, heading various international offices at different universities.
That's a very key question, because I always talk about optics versus practice.
Correct. That's the word I was looking at, actually.
Yeah. So Yes, optics is very, very important as well. I wouldn't say, I mean, if you are signing an MOU or you have a delegation coming from, let's say, Oxford or the Cambridge, you really want those pictures to go viral, and which is acceptable. I mean, no doubt about it.
Yes.
But then what happens after those optics is what's more important, because that is where I think the willingness to work together, collaborate, and execute the whatever number of points that you put on the MOU comes into picture.
Correct.
So for us, I think internationalization is all about creating or bringing global perspectives in everything that we do inside a university. Right. It could be your academics, say for example, the curriculum. It could be the research. How collaborative have you been in your research? It could be student mobility, whether or not your students have the opportunities to go abroad and get that global exposure, which is also very key in factor nowadays. And the opportunities that you give for employment, are there global opportunities?
Right.
And how diverse your campuses are. So if we don't have a diverse campus, it's very difficult for a student to understand what a student life could be outside. Right? So similarly, do we have any experts coming in from other universities, probably doing a small seminar for you, conducting a module for you, and things like those. So on the whole, these are the points how you execute.
Correct.
But do we have a strategy? The universities must have a strategy in order to have that direction for internationalization.
Correct.
So these are the number of ways that you do things, but it doesn't mean that every university has to do everything.
Correct.
You can start by having a very, very simple activity with your foreign partner.
Correct.
And mind you, I would also like to tell you that it shouldn't or it doesn't have to start with an MOU.
Correct.
Correct. So this is the irony here is that when we finish these discussions with, when we talk about
stakeholders, yes.
Yeah, the first thing that comes right after the first meeting is when are we signing the MOU? We were just discussing that.
Yes.
So, but that doesn't really make sense because you barely know each other.
Correct.
MOU is an understanding which builds over a period of time.
Yes.
Right? The word itself, understanding. When we understand each other's strengths, we understand each other's asks, and we also talk about each other's flexibility in doing things.
Correct.
So.
Yeah. So does it also then? So I will have two connected questions around this. So do you see that now NEP is putting some undue pressure on our Indian universities to get an MOU done instead of first understanding the needs and requirements at both the partners and just pushing up for an MOU? That's my first question. Right. My second is connected to the execution of what happens once the MOU is done. Execution, you already rightly said. The problem, probably what I see is how and who does it. I have understood that some of the faculty members or dean have been made in charge to execute this.
Yeah.
The problem is with the faculty or the dean, they are already covered with a lot of work which they do on their own, and giving them an added responsibility of internationalization. How often do you see these faculties are able to do justice with this very specialized topic of internationalization?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I think that needs a lot of attention in current situation where we are very boldly speaking about internationalization but are doing very little in this front.
Correct.
So as I said in previously that I give a lot of respect to the international office. International office takes away the burden off the shoulders of the deans,
yes,
of the faculty members who are already burdened with quite a lot of academics and the processes that go with academics. So an international office definitely becomes the epicenter of all activity that happens.
Correct.
And they are the execution partners, let's say.
Correct.
So if you have an academic department, your execution partner is your international office.
Correct.
That's how we look at it. So it's not a separate arm which is independently working. In fact, all the departments have to work in tandem to make internationalization work for a university.
Correct.
But it starts with the leadership.
Yes.
The leadership has to give that strategic direction, and then the following can then act upon it.
Correct.
Let's say it's not wrong to say that, okay, we are doing internationalization because we want to build our reputation in the world.
Correct.
No harm in doing that. Or please go ahead and sign 20 MOUs a year or 40 MOUs if that's what you think is going to build your reputation.
Right.
Right? So that is your direction which your management sets for you. It's not wrong to ask for these many MOUs. But what is the reason why? The reason has to be very clear. Why are we doing this at all?
Correct.
And what under this MOU is going to build my reputation? Probably you then might want to think that it is maybe collaborative research that's going to build my reputation, because now I'm going to publish papers alongside some of the known people in the domain areas. So that's building my reputation. Okay, I might probably want to send students on fellowships. Is this going to build your reputation? Definitely yes. If students go on fellowships to renowned universities, that's going to build reputation for the home universities.
Correct.
So if that's my intent, there's no harm signing MOUs.
Correct.
So it all goes back to the leadership, whether the leadership has the vision for internationalization. I work with many universities, and sometimes I candidly want to say that everything has to be done parallelly. It cannot be done parallelly. Every activity cannot be done parallelly.
Correct.
So we need to focus. You need to have people to deliver that.
Correct. So you rightly said this. I think it starts with the leadership. What I see in the current framework, this strategic direction coming from the leadership is missing.
Yeah.
Although because of the NEP pressure, we have to do it. So you assign somebody and make him an international office director or a manager, and you task them with certain activities. Now this person who has been into a faculty or in a teaching position suddenly realize that how do I get started? I have no framework. I have no connects in terms of where to look at, and how do I eventually reach out to the university to start my first interaction. I think those things are still missing for somebody who has not handled or understood what comes under internationalization and been tasked with it. And I think that's where also the need of setting up an international office comes in, because it's very fair to say one of the greatest parameter for somebody to enter into a QS ranking is to have an international office. If one person defines an international office, then unfortunately that's not an international office, because you cannot have only one person shouldering the entire workload of internationalization.
No. Internationalization cannot happen in isolation.
Exactly. And you rightly said that all the departments of a university has to work in tandem with the international office to get the things executed, because people need to understand every department at the university also doing their own activities in terms of connecting with the universities, meeting with professors, going in fairs and conferences and getting those connects. Now you need to have this coming down connected centrally to the international office, so that a objective of the university is achieved, not a department level objective is looked at. I think that is something which is, in terms of layers of communication, are directed from the leadership, which is so much important in these days than ever before.
Sumit, I would also say this at this point on a lighter note, So we would have these delegations come from abroad. It could be US or UK, Canada, Australia. We all look up to these universities. So we would have a meeting, have a discussion about it. The end question always from the dean would be, okay, when do we sign an MOU? Now, so the reply to this question coming from the delegation would be, what exactly are you looking at?
Correct.
And then that is like a dead question to people around.
Yeah.
Because they have no answer for it. Because they never thought of it.
Correct.
That if I want to sign an MOU with an XYZ university, what is it that we want to do with them?
Correct.
What is the collaboration mean for us? So those answers have to be, I think, well in advance prepared for.
Correct.
So that when there is the team coming down, we have a very intense discussion around it. And then we say, okay, now let's go for an MOU.
Correct.
Or my simple answer to this would be, let's start with engagement first. Why an MOU at all when you have agreed to do something?
Correct. You know, absolutely right. I think what we have also understood with our recent interaction with the universities, coming directly to an MOU is something which foreign universities do not appreciate.
They get startled.
Yeah, they get startled and they're baffled in terms of why an MOU in the first place. If you want me just to sign some papers, I will do it. But what happens next? I think that is something which is deeply to be looked at. And that's where my next question to you is, you've been in this industry for so many years. What is that element which we probably have come across, or you still find it missing, which enables this interaction in a more holistic manner, logical manner, and time-bound? Have you seen across any of these, let us say, companies, ad tech companies, or system, or a framework, or a platform which exists, which helps in not only mobilizing, but also execution of these let us say, MOUs and internationalization? What are your thoughts on that?
My answer to that would be, there are companies that are working in this field, but I don't see any technology integration that has happened so far.
Right.
I mean, in the days of AI, that's making things easy. Right. Although I'm not a very big fan of AI, because I also read that they displace a lot of jobs, but coming back, but if it can be put to good use, why not?
Yeah.
Right? If it can make life simpler for universities to be able to find what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Correct.
And how they can correct and level up to the expectations of the world or the partner universities. I think there's no harm in integrating AI into it. So one thing that's missing, in my opinion, is the technology integration.
Right.
And that is required at many departments in the university, not just internationalization.
Right.
So I think
you rightly said, yes.
AI would be, I think it can create wonders.
So it is fair to say that digital infrastructure layer is missing to have these university-to-university collaboration.
I can say why this is important, because you need technology in order to show you a mirror.
Correct.
Because that can be shown only by technology, because there's nobody else to... The technology is not going to justify to you, why did I come up with these answers, right? Because they know that AI can do a better job than human thinking sometimes.
Correct.
So, again, on the lighter note, we've seen universities that straight come to us and say, okay, can we have a tie-up with, let's say, Cambridge?
Right.
I said, okay, let's say we start the discussions, and where would you want to take this to?
Correct.
What exactly would you want to do with the Cambridge University? And then there's a hiatus of, let's say, about a year to get an answer to that, and sometimes you never get an answer.
Correct.
Because there's no technology intervention, right? So they have to go back. Maybe now they'll probably ask ChatGPT to say, okay, what is it that I want to do with Cambridge University?
Right.
It's not wrong at all
to
have aspirations.
Correct.
But it is very, very important to be on ground, realize the strengths and weaknesses likewise, and then build on it.
Correct. Absolutely. I think technology intervention is a must. Use of AI in technology is also something which really can help in not only discovery, but also matchmaking of the like-minded universities, where their infrastructure and their goals are mapped, and then accordingly they can initiate conversations with the people who are more likely to work with you in the future than an aspirational wise going for the moons in terms of the collaboration start.
Nothing wrong at all, no? By the way.
Once again, have good aspiration, and sometime, some year you probably will reach there. But then, as you said, that let's be little grounded as well and look at internally what are our haves and what is it which we can give, right? And accordingly match this through and bring it.
Very simple thing is, let's say even the collaborations, research collaborations. Right? All Indian professors they have their own thrust areas, they have their own specialities. But do those specialities even match the ones that we're looking at in a foreign university? If you're doing, let's say, automobile engineering and you're talking to a university which is into public health,
Correct.
I mean, that's amazingly a discord.
Correct.
Correct? You can never match that at all.
Correct. Correct.
So having this dream of tying up with the best public health university
Correct.
makes absolutely no sense to me.
Correct.
Ne fir bhi, we get these.
Can we do it?
Can we still do it? So
Yeah, that's the classic.
Yeah. So that's the paradox here, I think.
I
Although
think,
have NEP has done quite a bit in building aspirations and supporting the universities with frameworks, what they should look at, what they should not look at. I want to also say this, that let's not move the focus from students.
Correct.
Because universities are built to educate students. Universities are built to develop their personalities. And if you think this globalization or the internationalization on campus can help do that, I think you should start there.
Correct. Correct.
So do not move away from giving those opportunities to students.
Yep. I think that's the ultimate outcome which we talked about.
It has to be outcome driven. It has to be outcome driven.
Okay. So continuing our conversation on the leadership of the universities, what is those, let us say, 2-3 advices if you need to advise a VC or a promoter to look on internationality more closely? What are those top 3 advices which you would like to give to them to get these things going and making internationality a priority for them?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I wish I could be in a position where I can advise the university vice chancellors. I would think that would be a very fine day for me. They are intellectuals already. But I would also say this, that the leadership of the university today is also burdened with a lot of other things, including student enrollments. And if you see, the student enrollment itself has become a big issue these days. I'm not talking about the state universities, but I'm talking about the new age universities and their ways and their approaches to student recruitment. So Vice Chancellor is predominantly involved in every activity of the university. And internationalization also becomes one key activity to work on. So if I were to sort of recommend a few things for them, I would say that first and foremost, the university needs to come up with a strategic plan for internationalization, which should span, let's say, about 5 years to begin with. Number one. Second is to be able to allocate funds for it. So one of the major things that people don't heed to or pay attention to is the funds that are involved in it. So internationalization cannot happen on its own.
Correct.
You either need manpower to work on it, you need certain infrastructure to go with it, and you probably will have to make a number of visits to the university. Even if you had to, say for example, build a library of world-class library, what would you do?
You have to start with the planning, strategy, funds, and then putting up the resources.
Right? You need funds even to be able to visit a university, let's say as close as Thailand or Malaysia, some of the top universities in the world. So there is fund requirement.
Correct.
Right? So funding is another. And then have, this is something that I wouldn't want to publicly say, but have consultants. Because if you're not able to invest in a proper internationalization office, or you don't want to have any manpower, please do invest in consultants.
Correct.
Because there are people who have worked in this field for, let's say, ages like yourself.
Right.
And you have a better understanding of internationalization, and I'm sure you will be able to advise them better as where to start and how far you can run with it.
Correct.
You can't do everything. You can't do a pole vault plus sprint plus this and swimming.
Correct.
Right? All of those are athletic sports, but still, you need to start with one, focus on that, and then excel in that part. It holds good for every field we take up.
Correct.
So it's the same thing. Have a strategic plan, select only 1 or 2 activities, invest, and then if you don't want to set up or bring manpower, I would recommend go with consultants. Their advice is the best advice.
Very neatly, summarized the advice for our vice chancellors and promoters. Very, very important and key points. Have a strategy, a 5-year plan, funds allocated to it, and put up an office. If not, then engage consultants who are expert in this field of organizing international activities. But last but not the least on this, look out for the technology which probably ZGEN is currently building a platform which will enable you to have these activities, providing you control, and also giving you that liberty of selecting the right partners based on your profile, infrastructure, and goals. So I think very nicely summed up Dr. Nirupama on the advice for the VCs. Last but not the least, as we coming to end of this podcast, what is that one international activity, which you would have started or initiated during your earlier years while working in this domain, which you could very proudly say, if I would have started that 20 years back, things would have been so largely different than probably they are right now. So what is that one? You always say that I have that missing instinct. Then if I could have done this at that time, things would have looked so different. Yes. So that would be my last question to you.
Well, that's a very tricky question because every 2 years there are so many new things happening.
Right.
So I can't go back and say, had this been that time, like say for example AI.
Right.
I mean, we have seen the advent of AI in last 5-6 years, although it's been there for quite some time, but especially in education.
Picked up right now, yes.
Yeah, it's picked up now. But if it had been there prior or earlier, I think things would have been very, very different. But one thing, so that's the answer to your question. One thing I would also say that which university should do, being technology such a great enabler of things today, would be virtual exchanges and COIL courses.
Okay.
Right? Coiling is one thing where you can virtually start things. There's investment required here.
Yes.
It's just the willingness to do something, and then it's the willingness to provide those opportunities to your students.
Correct.
I think that should not be taken away. I mean, everything else can have a
takes time to build and everything.
And everything, but then there are simple things to start off with.
Correct.
Most universities, when we have these discussions, when we mediate talks for them, especially when I do that for international universities, Indian universities ask specifically, very categorically, would be that why don't these students come to India?
Right.
Why don't students come from UK to India? Why don't students come from US to India? But you also need to understand that their realities are completely different from the realities of Indian students.
Correct.
Indian students, to some extent, are supported by their families in order to study, whereas that doesn't happen back there. If somebody is doing a university in the morning, they better run for an evening job in the UK or US.
Correct.
Most of them fund themselves. So that's a very unfair ask.
Yes.
And then if you're adamant about getting these students here, it's not going to work.
Correct.
So I think we need to understand the realities on both sides.
Right.
What's feasible, what's not feasible. And of course, like I said, technology is the big enabler now. Start with virtual exchanges, simple things, and those things go a long way.
Excellent. What a fine way to bring to an end to this, first podcast in the series of podcasts which we will be covering and talking more about internationality on Indian higher education and how technology is going to enable this piece of internationalization under NEP. And stay tuned for more of our series on internationalization. I must thank you, Dr. Nirupama, for spending time with us today and giving her insights on the possibilities of internationality, what has been done, what is missing, and what better we can do. I think has been largely summed up in a very, very neat way. And I thank you, Dr. Nirupama, for this attendance today and giving your insights. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you on our show today.
No, it's a pleasure being here. and having this lovely conversation with you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here again.
Yes, yes,
Why
of
not?
course.